in mind? And who already? All right. So it's great that today I see new people, because you might have probably seen that previously we organized lots of meetups and events which were devoted to the topic of blockchain. And honestly speaking, in Lausanne, this is our first event, first meetup, not connected to this topic. So what is actually InMind? InMind is a multi-sided platform which is digitalizing the life cycle of the startup. What it means? It is a platform for startups at different stages where startups can actually find the necessary tools to build and to develop, the necessary, for example, templates of the agreements. They can find people to connect, partners, investors, potential mentors, potential team members, etc. So all this they can do on inmind.com. So this is the place for the projects to be registered, to be present, to be listed. Now, what we are doing besides this, if you're not on InMind yet, I would recommend you also to register to be part of the community. In Lausanne and in Switzerland, we are quite active in the blockchain sphere, in the blockchain sector. We are organizers of Blockchain Leadership Summit. Probably some of you have heard. I don't know how many of you are aware of the blockchain topic. How many of you are interested in this? Okay, I see some. All right, but it's very cool to see this time actually quite different community, because very often we have here crypto traders, we have people who are trying to discover this side of the technology. So as we are for the moment, as I see that we are not so members, I know, Sebastien, if you're planning in your presentation to ask a little bit more questions about themselves, or I will do it. Okay, so maybe I will just ask also some questions to know a little bit more about you. Who of you have a startup? Who of you is a part of the startup? Okay, okay. Who of you is looking to be engaged into a startup? Okay, okay, all right. Okay, so we have the majority here who are familiar with this topic. And the rest people who are not in the startup, you are working for some corporation, for some company?
I work for myself. Startups are my clients.
Okay, so entrepreneurship, right?
Whatever you call it.
Okay, all right. So I see that today we have the quite, I would say, maybe not unusual, but one of the segments, one of the groups that we very often also connect with and communicate with at our meetups. So the program for this year, we organize meetups every month, at least once per month. And the program for this year, we decided on purpose to go out of the topic of blockchain. We will have some of the meetups which will be also covering this technology if you are interested, but we'll be also covering the topics which are more connected with development of your enterprise, of your project, of your business, developing it. And today we are going to speak about the team. So I would like to present our partners who will be today leading this topic. The specialist in the HR, it is the company called Work, and in particular Sebastien, who will be presenting today, who will tell you more about the team in the startup, how to create, how to build up the motivated team, and how actually to avoid the mistakes when the project, when the startup is scaling up. So Sebastien, please take the ground.
Thank you. So good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Katerina, for the invitation and for giving us this opportunity. So for the sake of introduction, very briefly, so my name is Sebastien Fontaine. I'm the co-founder of the company called Work. Co-founder of my partner is Carla. We both come from the HR world. Myself, I've had 18 years of experience in the corporate world, in HR with large and mid-sized organizations, mostly in Europe, but also in the US and Latin America. And I have decided to leave corporate to actually help companies with HR-related topics. Reason being, more often than not, startups, when they go on, when they start their organizations, they're all driven by a passion, they're driven by an idea for a product or for a service. And then as they grow, they start hiring people, but they have no idea on what it entails. They have no idea how to manage those people necessarily, what are the requirements, the secondary effect of making the wrong decision when you're hiring somebody, all of these nice things. So we have elected with Carla to provide HR expertise to these companies that don't have the justification yet to have HR in-house. And for today, I have been asked by Katerina to walk you through some of the steps to consider in order to nurture, create, and engage your employees. So we talk about what does motivate people and how to keep them motivated, and to link that to the recruitment process as well, because ultimately the whole aspect of motivation is something you can drive from the very first day you decide you're going to hire somebody. Is this a topic that everybody feels very happy about? I feel enthusiasm, so that's really good. Let's start with that. So if we talk about motivation, obviously, given the size of the group, it's really easy to interact. Any question, go ahead. Sometimes I'm very enthusiastic and I get carried away, so if I start speaking too fast, just let me know. But without further ado, let's go with this. So the idea is first to introduce the notion of motivation. So why do you think it's important? Why would this be important to be motivated or to have motivated employees if you were to employ employees? Yes.
There's no time to lose on bad employees.
No time to lose on bad employees. You can have a very motivated bad employee.
I don't believe in bad employees, I believe in bad employer.
I didn't hear, sorry.
I don't believe in bad employees, I believe in bad employer who decided to employ wrong people, who didn't motivate them, doesn't know how to behave, and that's it.
Fair enough. Back on why is it important to have somebody motivated? They're more productive. Go ahead. Yeah.
So infrastructure is very important because that's what can make a difference.
Absolutely. And what very often happens in startups environment is because we're driven by an idea and we're driven by our own little baby and our own little product, when we hire people in it, we feel like, well, they should breathe the same thing we do. They should be motivated by the same thing, but ultimately, it's not necessarily the case because their employees, they were looking for a job, and that was a job that was talking to them. So they're coming because obviously what you sold was talking to them, but it's never going to talk to them the same way as it talks to you if you are the founder of the company. So you will need to start considering other ways to keep them motivated and to keep them engaged. So a few specificities about recruiting in the startup environment. Startup is a sexy buzzword, right? So many companies, big companies, will hire external consultants to create a startup environment. It's very special that they do. They pay consultants thousands of dollars to come in and you need to help us to, re-energize. And by re-energize, they link this to startup kind of environment. So there's this buzzword aspect which does not necessarily always reflect the reality of startups because there's this whole sexy part which is very, very fast moving. We're talking about an environment where we have a lot of opportunities actually to shine because the impact of our work is very visible, very quickly. Whether it's good or bad, but it's very, very quickly visible. And ultimately, when you go in a big organization, whether they want to do the startup environment, yes or no, your effort are often diluted in the size of the group. One of the downsides of the startup part is that they don't necessarily have the name out there. So it's sometimes more difficult to attract the relevant profiles for what you need. Because for many people it can be a risk because they will put a name of a company on their CV that others might not recognize. So if they have not started in a startup environment and they come from corporate, it might be something that can be a breaking point for them. But ultimately, coming back to the attractivity of the startup, it's something that can be capitalized on to hire somebody. When we talked about what is important to keep somebody motivated, many good things came up, and ultimately all the things I've heard is more productive, they're going to be more engaged, they're going to go the extra mile, and all of these are essentially reflecting engagement. They're going to be more engaged. If you have engaged employees, the side effect of the engaged employee is that your company is going to go towards the direction you want it to go. If they are not engaged, it's going to take way more of your time to correct mistakes that have been made, to correct the path of motivation and engagement, because you will try to find out what's happening. Come on, the product is great. What is wrong with this? So let me walk you through what we call, it's a model. It's a very simple model. It's called the Dayprix model. Have you ever heard about the Dayprix model? It's a very simple model that just explains the mechanics of engagement. You will see it's kind of a mathematical formula. It's magical. It's one step after the other. It's very, very simple. So if I just start with that, I understand there are people online, so hopefully they can read what's going to come on this, right? So if you want to look it online after today, the way it's spelled, Dayprix. So that's the name of the model we'll be looking at. Yeah, sorry. I should probably have indicated it's better for you to be. So if we think about it as a wheel, and the wheel has various segments, and it goes in one direction. So far, it's easy. Engagement always starts with one thing and one thing only. It starts with the employee to be engaged first needs to have some needs addressed. And the first needs to be addressed is, what's my job? So there's actually a question mark given that, it's a bit of a question. So why is this important? And why do I mention it here? Given that this is the first element required to generate engagement, when you start working on recruitment, it's important for anyone starting to work on recruitment to really think thoroughly what the job is going to be and what the responsibilities of that job are going to be. We're not talking about the task. We're not talking about, you're going to push that paper from that place to that place, and you're going to press the print button 100 times a day. So that is irrelevant. That should not appear. It's not a job responsibility. That's a task. We talk about what's my job. This is where the first element that is going to drive the engagement is to classify beautiful red job responsibility. Okay. The second one is, how am I doing? How am I doing? We are again self-centered. So this is me, so that I know what my job responsibility is, okay? So how am I actually doing it? So what is this? This is the feedback part. So stay connected. Feedback. Why is this important? When you anticipate in your recruitment process, providing feedback requires a bit of practice. And feedback is an ongoing thing. It's not something that is following a calendar. It's not something, okay, I'm going to give you feedback every 3 weeks at 2 o'clock. That's not how it works. Feedback is ongoing. It's continuous. It's part of a dialogue. Things are going well. Things are not going well. What is going well? What is not going well? It's an ongoing thing. The person, he or she, at all time, know where they stand. If this condition is met, you're on the good way, on the good path for engagement. As you go through the wheel, as we continue going through the wheel, each of these are interdependent. So you cannot skip one. It's not going to work. You will see that you will have, it's going to fall down the drain in the event you don't pay attention to it. So the next part still self-centric, and then we're done with the self-centric part. But it's, does anyone care? So how important is it what I'm doing? And from the moment you have, so does anyone care? What does that mean? We essentially talk about what are the needs of that person and what are the needs of the organization and where do those two meet. Okay? And because if nobody cares, if the person does not feel that what he does is actually important, you're never going to get him engaged. So that's not going to be addressing the motivation. And does anybody identify to this so far? Because we talk about employees when you hire, but we are also individuals going through the motions of these things, right? So I'm going to write here. Individual needs. And for the ones that are on the video, I hope you can read and see. If you don't, Katerina is going to send you a picture of this. So this whole part is the addressing the I. Once the I is being addressed, we can start talking a bit wider. And wider we talk about how is my unit going, how is my team going. And this is true whether we talk about 2 people or we talk about 20 people or whatever. And the how is my unit going comes down to another thing, which is something that will hopefully be clear when you decide to hire somebody, is what are actually the objectives of the team, what are the objectives of the organization, what is it we're trying to achieve, okay? So it's objective clarity. Once we have addressed this, we start talking about where are we heading? So where is it we going? Because then you can start having a big picture. You're reassured with all of this. Where are we heading? And the where are we heading is really touching the heart and the soul of the organization. Because this is in this segment that you're going to have what are your missions, visions, what are the core competencies you want to promote and you want to talk about and you want to see your employee adhere to. And all of these elements, you can have a very strong company culture. People are not going to adhere to it if they don't feel listened to, if they don't receive information on whether or not they're doing well. Regardless of how strong your identity is, they're not going to adhere to it. So this is your vision. So we are the 5th. Mission and values. And finally, you guess it all. How can I help? And this is where you get engagement. See, I told you it was simple. Excuse me?
How can they help? Employee or employer?
So this is the wheel that leads towards engagement. So as an employee, I'm coming in the organization and I'm going to turn mountains and forests and whatever to go through the objective of the organization I work for. But the only way I'm going to do that is if each of these are addressed. And I'm not saying this is a process. So it's not like, okay, so today we will clarify what's your job, and next week we'll be looking at how you do it. So that's not how it works, right? So we're talking about it's a fluid process.
Is that a building block that one is needed as a prerequisite for the other?
Yes. And the reason is you cannot start with how is my unit doing, because you're never going to think about how is my team if you're not clear on how you are. And you can probably identify this cycle in other areas. So here we talk about in an office environment, we talk about in a working environment, working relationship. but you can probably identify the same in other circumstances. So as long as you're not sick, you're not going to think about the rest of your environment necessarily. Question?
It is also about not material motivation.
It is what, sorry?
Not material motivation. It's all not about money.
Sixth is the end product of all of this. So this is to show the mechanics of engagement. Okay, and we talked at the very beginning about the importance of having motivated employee or being motivated ourselves. And I explained that the more motivated the employees are, the more likely you are to reach engagement. And the importance of engagement is ultimately as you grow, you bring people in. And what is your objective bringing people? You want them all to be additive to what it is you're doing. So you want to make sure that as they come in, they're going to help you and your organization to reach your big objective and to go beyond. And you want them to be part of that effort. And as you know, the more we are, it's supposed to be incremental, right? But that works if we done the appropriate level of preparation prior to getting people on board. And if we take this into consideration when we're running with the people. Is that clearer? I do not understand what you do not understand. Sorry. So
I know all of this. I think I know 5, but I don't know what to talk about this last segment.
It's engagement. So being engaged means I'm fully dedicated. I'm not going to be distracted by anything else. I'm fully engaged. I'm fully dedicated to working with you, for you, in the direction of the company because I believe in the value, I believe in the mission, and I'm going to do everything in my power to help carry out that.
Like for me, the end is on a mission. So if I'm employer, so okay.
I'm happily discussing more in detail with you after if that works. Any other question? Yes, Sasha.
Normally, startup environment
Yes.
a lot of children and
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So how does it work? Because objectives, there is sometimes so complexity.
Also?
How can you function these 6 sectors in a startup environment?
So this is a fantastic question because this is going to help me transition to the recruitment part. Because startup environment, as we said earlier, there's lots of perks about working with startups. Very high level of visibility, very dynamic, opportunities, many opportunities because you get whatever you do. Has in theory big impact. However, there's a recognition that not everybody is made for those kind of environments. So even though this is a mechanics, some people will need more of some elements before they're ready to go to the next phase. So when you work on your recruitment process, people that are generally attracted to startups, they are generally more agile, they are generally more eager to deal with ambiguity, and with the ability to, okay, we're not 100% sure of what is worth it, but that's fine, we're just going with it. And so these are the kind of profiles that are more likely to come forward in case of an opening within the startup environment. It does not mean, however, that this will does not exist. It's just that they're going to go through some of the phases faster than others. So here, this is a theory, right? So we talk about, in general terms, from an engagement perspective, everybody goes through this. Some goes much faster through it, some others need much more reassurance and much more clarity on each of the steps. Coming on the recruitment, the reason why I make the link between the motivation and between the recruitment is because ultimately, the better prepared you are prior to engaging into a recruitment process, the more likely you are to find the person that is most relevant to you as an organization in pursuing your mission and your vision. Because what you want when you hire somebody, your objective is what? Is to hire an asset. Is to hire somebody that's going to accelerate your plans. that is going to accelerate or better the experience of your customer, or further develop your product, or whatever the mission, whatever the goal it is you're looking after. However, the only way they're going to do that is that if you're well prepared and you're clear on what is needed for your company to keep on going forward in essence. So it's true for any size organization. The reason why we make a specific emphasis on it when we talk about scale-up and startups environment is because the impact of making a mistake is so much greater than for big companies. The big companies, they have a lot of money, that's going to be absorbed, it's going to fade away. As a startup, you're counting your money. You're looking for investors, you're looking for opportunities to gain on your expenses here and there. Employing somebody is very expensive. It costs a lot of money. You have the salary, but you also have a lot of other things. There's the time you need to educate the person, the time you need to train the person, onboard the person. All of this is taking your time away, or the time of your colleagues away from what they do. And typically we say, depending on the level of seniority, it takes about 6 to 12 months for a person to be fully onboarded and 100% operational. In startup environments, the anticipation is that they can hit the ground and run. So there's a bit of a gap. And the more agile your candidate is, the faster is it going to be that they're going to actually meet your expectation. But for them to meet your expectation, they need to be clear on what their job is going to be, what their responsibilities are going to be, how they are doing through their responsibilities, what is the unit doing, etc., etc., etc. There's no way around this. So, a recruitment process is built out of 5 main components. The first one is taking the decision. It's easy. We think it's easy. Taking the decision means what? If you've taken the decision to hire somebody, it means you have secured a budget. So you have an idea of how much you're going to pay that person. You have a range. So you have a budget. It means that you know where your company is heading, and you have an expectation that the person you're going to hire for this now idea to hire is going to add, is going to feed into that plan, to that objective. So that's for the decision-making process. Once you've taken the decision, you haven't found anyone. So you need to start looking. So you need to start advertising. So how do you do that? By being very precise on what it is you're looking for, because you are most likely working from a startup environment, from a company that is not very known. You don't have money to engage a headhunter or this. You need to use a lot of imagination, to generate attraction. So you will capitalize a lot on your network. You will potentially even consider friends. So there are many alternative ways you're going to be looking at what is the best potential candidate for me to go forward with. The only thing I can recommend in that phase, so in the phase where, okay, we're going to advertise, is to really not rush to the first thing that comes to your mind. Second, guess yourself all the time on it. Have I used all of the relevant channels for what I need? Which other person in my network can I go in and shake a little bit to ask if they know somebody who knows somebody, whatever. And by making a posting on LinkedIn is great, but it's way too little to get traction from a network. I mean, how many of you, imagine, I'm making an assumption here that you're all on LinkedIn. So very often you have postings, then you like, you share, but it's not necessarily that when you receive something, you're going to react to it. So if you think about, let's say you have 900 people in your network, you share, that means that this has been sent to 900 people. How many of these 900 are actually going to take action if there's a demand for action? You have an idea?
When we find out gradually and approach them to connection personally rather than just advertising, posting passively. With that, you get the testimony.
Exactly.
Which come out from the review. What we found is you go and reach out to people personally and saying, hey, you are there.
And this is exactly where I was heading, because the return of doing passively just advertising is none.
So you will get tons of applications which are just you wasting time.
Exactly. And it just highlights the importance of dedicating the time. And time is money. You run an organization, it means that if you're alone in the organization, whatever you do that is taking, whichever amount of time you spend away from delivering to your client is time you don't make. So you will try and look to every possible ways to go as fast as possible through that process. So a little careful note, it's really not a process to skip because of the importance of what follows, which is, well, once you start collecting 1, 2, or 3 profiles, making sure that this profile is actually going to meet your expectation and or your requirement as an organization. The temptation to rush through is really high. The temptation to rush through is really high. Why? Because you are really motivated. You are very driven.
And you want somebody yesterday.
And you want somebody yesterday. And you are under pressure. You have a huge backlog of things that needs to be done that you've been doing since the beginning, and then you have enough. You have no more time to do this. So the temptation to rush this through is right there. And yet, that can lead to your demise, if I can use that term. Because if you make the wrong moves because of the rush, what do you think it costs to your organization? So you hire somebody, they come in, they do the job for 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, and then after they say, well, that's not going to happen. Just thank you very much, goodbye. How much did that cost you? A lot of money. Do you know? Lost opportunity?
Like $3,000.
It all depends how much you pay the person.
Depends where you are.
Typically,
it also depends on the salary. You spend a lot of time, it depends a lot of things. So a lot of people who are doing the recruitment stuff, so if there is a CEO, stuff like that. So you can't put a price on this. It's just a lot of money. It's not just the salary of the guy employed. It's maybe 10 more times this.
So the rule of thumb is it's going to cost you 3 times the salary of the person you hire. And this is what happens if you lose them within the first 12 months of them being in your organization. Rule of thumb is 3 times the salary. And then, yes. And depending on the level of seniority, it's going to be more or less. Reason being, the more senior the person is, the hardest is it going to be to attract one into the organization because the level of expectation is much higher. Not only in terms of salary, but in terms of visibility, in terms of reputation. So all of these things are important to those. The more they go, the more they grow. Yet, this is where you have the skills you want. Yes?
Maybe one more thing that also costs you so much energy, which you can't put into money, right? You invest kind of like emotional energy.
Absolutely.
If you're a small startup, try to onboard that person, it doesn't work out. So it also takes a different role for them. So you can't provide.
Absolutely.
Salary, yes, but this is another very like.
And you also consider the impacts on, let's say you already have a small structure with 5, 10, 15 people. The impact of one person coming, one person leaving is huge. Because all that work is work that needs to be reallocated. But there's not only that, there's also the whole personal. I mean, maybe some of them have a relationship with that person. And maybe there's a bit of politics that started to install itself under the corner, under the sofa, whatever, that you don't necessarily know because you're so driven by your thing. But it's a living organism, an organization, right? So if you stay on top of it by continuous feedback, always be clear with the staff, always be clear with the team, being open, then these are less likely to happen. It does not mean you're not going to make mistakes in the hiring. And making mistakes, don't get me wrong, it's totally normal. It's totally right. I mean, I've worked in HR for 19 years. I've made mistakes in hiring people during those 19 years, even in the last years. It has happened. And I'm hoping less later than at the beginning, but it does happen. So it's not an exact science. Because it's not an exact science, you want to put all of the chances on your side to make the right decisions at the right time. So I said there are 5 steps to recruitment. I spoke about the decision. I spoke about the attraction. So we start attracting candidates. When you talk about the selection, a lot of things need to come to mind. The temptation to hire a friend, a mate, somebody who he lives and breathes like me is really hard. We're best buddies. I mean, this has to work. I mean, you completely understand what I'm going through. It's great. It all depends on what it is they're going to do. Never lose the focus on what is the expectation of the outcome for that job. Because the whole buddy thing, it works great until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, this is when things can get really hard, because then you're facing yourself in a conflict which is not often ending well. So where I'm going with this is a high recommendation to make a decision as objective as possible. 100% objectivity is never possible. Use much objectivity into the decision. What does that mean? Find actual data on the behavior of the person in certain situation. You can do that by preparing your interview well in advance. So you need to know exactly what it is you're looking for. And there are ways to find. The best way to predict the behavior is to dig into the past and look at past behavior. So how can you do that? Ask questions. Do not underestimate the power of questions. Very often, I've seen that several times. In particular, when we are in a setup where we're in a rush to hire, we ask leading questions. What is the downfall of asking a leading question? Leading. A leading question is, oh yeah, but you like tech, right? Oh yeah, of course, yeah. So you tell them what you want to hear. Oh yeah, but you've already worked in an environment like this, no? You've done that before. Yeah, of course, I have done that. I've done it numerous times. It's very important to me. So you give them the answer of which question of the information you're looking for, but you don't actually find out whether yes or no they have done it. So the best way to avoid that pitfall is to think about, you need to start your question with what, how, where, who. What, how, where, who. These are the questions you ask. You don't ask, you don't, avoid assumption, that's the word. There you go. Avoid assumption is really difficult to do, in particular when you're in a rush, and in particular when you know exactly what you're looking for, and you're so desperate to look for it that you try and plant the seed in that candidate so that the candidate shows the traits you're looking for. It's very, very common. So, again, the tip for the selection part, use as much objectivity as possible. Next point is the offer. Making an offer. So, this is where you're coming back to the first phase. The first phase was you take a decision you're going to hire, so you have a budget. When you make an offer, you should never be at a stage where you're ready to make an offer and the candidate is expecting twice as much as what your budget is. That should not happen. So that can mean several things. Either you have not done your homework in studying what that kind of profile makes on the market today. And you will never have it precisely, it doesn't really matter, but having a broad idea is very important. Because if somebody asks to double that, it can mean a couple of things. Either you've not done the homework, or that person is not the right person for you. Because maybe they are more qualified than what you need for, or if they are half of what, if the expectation is half of what you were ready to offer, same question, alarm bell. It does not mean don't go ahead, it just means alarm bell. And just review your process, review who you spoke with, review the experience, review the relevance with what it is you need. Because if you don't do this, the likelihood that you're going to have somebody who does not feel clear on what's the job, or is not going to be in line with how am I doing, but if they don't feel they're doing well themselves, because the job is not aligned with what they do, you're going to be in trouble. Okay? Any questions so far? Because I'm talking. Yes, please.
Question about the job market. Startup has certain activities, dynamism, engagement, etc. And make people comfortable that I was here for myself are ready to sacrifice some of the salary for the stable, maybe at the start of the life. So how do you consider how you can attract talents from corporate world and use them to start the environment? So they are not asking so much. So you never will be able to afford to better help.
And you will never be able to convince somebody who is not already convinced from the start a little bit, right? So it's a fine dance. But if your idea is to offer a third of someone's salary just because that's the kind of profile you really want, you need that person to be driven to start with, because you are not going to be able to necessarily motivate them. And it all depends on what their priorities are. We don't all have the same priorities. Maybe they have that salary just because this is what happened organically through their career. That's great for them, but maybe that's not their drive. You don't know. You don't know. Some people left the corporate environments to become entrepreneurs. They came with salaries of 2, 3, 400,000 to like an unknown salary. It happens. I don't know if there are any in the room here who come from corporate world and decided, no, I'm going to be an entrepreneur now. The decision is risky, but that's not. It hasn't necessarily been driven by somebody making an offer. It can be, but then the person needs to see it as an opportunity.
But I'm asking because you're saying you should prepare yourself and just look at how much this profile is seen in the market. So normally, market is given by corporation or like established companies.
So, but I don't ask you to go to Sophie or whichever big corporation or organization to look for what is the most accurate benchmark. You can ask, you just call your mate that works at the competition startup that has that kind of profile. You talk to the people you went to school with to see what kind of and you take the closest job, because none of the startups in theory have the $60,000 it takes to buy those benchmarks. It exists. You can buy it. Yeah, the accuracy of that is relative. So yes, it's an indicator. It's a data point. Another data point is having the talk directly. But I'm not here to tell you how to convince somebody. There's no way to convince somebody to commit. And if there is one, I'm not prone to manipulation. So if they don't want to come, it's fine. Yes.
Don't you talk about shares on this stage, shares of companies, something like this?
So this can be, if it's part of your policy, that's the time where you're going to have. So when we talk about making an offer, it's salary, but not only. It's what is the environment the person is going to join. So you need to be clear on, is it casual? Is it formal? Can they work from home? What are the working time? How much travel is involved? And is expected? Where is the working location? All of these things are part of making an offer. And then there are perks. So I pay for your gym, I pay for your sandwich, you have free coffee, whatever it is. And sometimes, yeah, you have shares. And startup is a very common way to attract people as well, is to provide shares so that they have a direct impact on the well-being of the organization. Now, there's a secondary effect to providing shares. If you have a lot of people and your policy is to offer shares to everybody, the company goes well, people are going to stay. And the people you want to stay are going to stay, but the people you don't want to stay are going to stay. So it's something to bear in mind because it's a fine dance on what needs to be done. Because if your organization goes really well, shares can go up really quickly. And that becomes a big retention tool. Using retention tools is great, providing they are used properly. Because you don't want to end up with a bunch of people that are actually not meeting the need for your organization anymore. That's not going to help you. Then, last but not least, the fifth point, and I'm sorry I'm jumping to the fifth point because I think I have already killed 30 minutes I was supposed to go for. But the last point is obviously the onboarding part. And the onboarding part is the part where you can have the biggest impact on addressing this because you're going to help the person go through what we refer to as HR jargon, but it's the life cycle of the employee in the organization, which means what is the experience for the employee from day one coming into the organization or not? From the day they sign the contract. You can even count from the day they have the first interaction with you during the interview, but it's really from the day they sign the contract until the day they leave the organization for whatever reason. That is what we call the employee life cycle. And if your interest is to make this a positive experience, it starts from the very, very first day of interaction. So when we talk exactly, even during the recruitment process, because if you look, you probably have all been involved in recruitment one way or the other as a candidate or as a recruiter. Who has had bad recruiting experience? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 9, 8. Sorry, after 7, after 6. So it's very common to have bad experience, and it can be for a variety of things. It can be I never got feedback, so I went to see them. I moved. I went for an interview, and I never got feedback. It can be they're not prepared. They come at the interview and they don't know anything about it. How does that make you feel? So the experience with the organization starts from the very first interaction, even in the way you attract them. If your job is well written, if the job description is well written, is well concise, is pleasing to read, it's pleasing to see. You should be able to see it on a tablet or on a computer screen or in a newspaper, and it should share that same pleasing effect when you read it, instead of having to scroll right, left, center, and you start doing it. So the thorough preparation for onboarding is key. The onboarding by itself would require a whole workshop, so I can't spend a huge amount of time on it, but the thing I can tell you is onboarding, there's no real-time limit on the onboarding. It's a flow. It's a flow. It's not just the first day, the first week. It depends on your structure, depends on your organization, depends on the requirements. What you want to achieve during your onboarding is for the person to well understand how things are working. Where's the coffee? Where do we go for lunch? At what time do we start? At what time do we finish? Where can I find the printer? I need a pen. Where can I find pen? It goes from those basics to the heart of the organization, what it is you're doing, how you want it done. And this talks to your mission, your vision, your values. They need to be well anchored, and you need to capitalize on those as much as possible during the onboarding so that the person understands what is going to be expected from them. The first 45 days of onboarding somebody are the most critical. They are the most critical. Because if somebody does not feel comfortable with the environment that just joined, the likelihood of them leaving during the first 45 days is much, much higher. So in Switzerland, that's a little bit of employment law for you. In Switzerland, the first 3 months, notice period, so the moment between them coming to you saying, I'm leaving, and them actually leaving is 7 days. During the first 3 months. After that is 1 month for the first year, then it's 2 months from the 2nd to the 9th year, 10th year is 3 months.
Works both ways.
Yes. Yes.
So it's good for the European.
It's a Swiss. That's each country is different, so there's no European way of doing it.
Much longer.
If you go to like Netherlands, Belgium, it's a bit more complicated. They actually very often now start with fixed-term contracts just to test things out. But in Switzerland, that's still one of the flexibilities that we can use. And when you're in a startup environment, there's a lot of pressure. So what it is you do, if it doesn't go well, what do you do? Are you trying to correct? Or do you immediately say, no, we're done with this, and then you start over again?
Depends on the job market.
Depends on the job market. It depends on what is the skill set required. Depending on what the problem is. If the problem is you find they come too late in the office, but ultimately they're delivering well, you're going to see a disconnect between the company's expectations and the company's habits. But if the deliverables are there, how do you do this? And then what does that mean for the rest of the team? So there's this.
But it's good for motivation, right? It's short, firing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily people motivation, but it does help. But as you said, it's both ways. So it should also be good to put a little bit of pressure on the employer to make sure that the experience is as well as good as possible. So this concludes the talk for today, given the half an hour, but we're staying here. So if you have more questions, discussions, we're here for the next one.
Who's that for years? Where did the model come from? How much study was behind it?
So this has been done by psychologists, but I have not reviewed the whole story of how it is. So if you want, I can Google it for after the call, but I do not have the story. That's fine.
Can you tell a couple more about your company, your services?
Sure, of course. So, well, our company now. So what we do specifically is we're providing HR expertise to the startups, meaning our objective is to make startups autonomous with the basics of HR. So we help those companies putting together, we provide them with the template they need to put a job description, contract. We help them putting policies if they want policies in place. We help them with the processes of how do you enroll in the AVS, how do you enroll with the accident insurance, what do you do when an employee actually has an accident, who do you need to contact, and what do you do with the person. And then the person is off work for 3-6 months because of an accident, what do you do? So all of these things, we are providing all of the processes and templates to help startups being as autonomous as possible with this. And we also provide obviously live consulting by being present. There's one consultant assigned to a client who is going to be coming on a frequent basis to the leadership team meetings. And either it's called as directors or however they are called. Startups are not necessarily always organized the same way. But coming into the strategic discussion on what's coming, just to make sure that there is an HR consideration into what they're doing for the future. The idea being, the earliest you tackle HR challenges, the least problem you're going to get as you grow. Because HR is the last consideration for organizations that are starting. It is, and we are a startup as well. So I know that my first consideration is what is the model, what is the product, who are the clients. This is the first consideration. We just have this. We call that professional deformity, is that if we start hiring somebody, we'll probably have some old ticks that are going to come back and that are going to help us to do the things a little bit differently. But that's what we do in a nutshell.
What's the size of startups you mostly work with?
So we would typically be looking at startups that have already gone through some things. Reason being, very often, if they haven't, they are not listening to us. I mean, they listen and everything, well, it's all nice, but we're different. We know. So fine, it's great. You go and do, and the day you hit the wall, that's where we are. And very often, so yeah, because before the fact, so I said about it earlier, they want to save money, they don't have money to hire external advice. There's a tendency to reinvent the wheel, thinking that our reinvention of the wheel is so much better than our neighbors, and that is normal. It's a natural cycle. We all go through this one way or the other. So the ones we are talking with mostly, I mean, we talk to very day one startups, but they just say, well, thank you, and voila. But the ones are the ones that have already had a couple of investments rounds. They are on the phase to enter into a scale-up phase, a scalable size of people, 15. So it's 10, 15, and up. But I got a call today for a company, it's 4 people. So we meet them next week. For a period later, I don't know very much about the challenges they're facing, so we'll have the conversation. That would be the scope.
Is it mostly when they were in hiring space, like they're planning or is it mostly like step by step?
So very often, when they want to go on big hiring, is because they're already running behind on demand. So it's because they have a very high demand suddenly, and this is great. But then suddenly they need the hands and the heads and the people to actually process all of this, and so there's a rush. And this is when I said earlier, the tendency to go and hire the first person that comes, etc. this is where often they're going to hit the wall for the first time. But it is exactly, that's the phase where they start really growing, it starts booming, and suddenly they need to get people in because they are heavy on man-hour demand. And this is where we come and help them to put the relevant structure to help them grow. Because one of the key specificity of a startup versus a big organization is their need to continuously adapt. They need to continuously change their way of doing things. And that comes from the leadership of the organization. The reason I say this is the formula that led them to be where they are today is not going to work anymore for them to reach the next step. So is this need to reinvent yourself while keeping the heart of what is your mission, what is your vision, what is the value. The strongest those three elements are, the most the most agile you are in recognizing that, well, you don't know everything, and yes, you need to reinvent yourself as well as the leader of an organization like this. These are the ones that work. There are many startups out there that fail those missions. I mean, big one, everybody knows GoPro. They had a massive hit on their head a couple of years ago when they suddenly started to see so big because they became so successful. They're going to go on stock market. So that's one transition that didn't succeed. So they still existed, but they went through buying lots of software. So they left what was their core product and their core idea. They went out, they started making a drone, they started getting into the software industry. And that's what they did. Exactly. And all of this happened one way to the other. Just because they had the pressure of investors from the moment they went onto the stock market, and they didn't handle that transition. What happened? They failed with all of these new products that devalued their branding, and suddenly people started thinking, whoa, maybe they're not the company you knew before. Another one, it's called Scully. I don't know if you've heard about them. I ride motorcycles. I'm a big motorcycle fan. So Scully's, they were promised to deliver helmets that was giving you 360 view. So you had a little screen here in your helmet and a camera behind, so you could see what was coming behind, and your helmet was connected to your phone and to your GPS, and all of the information was there. You had to speak. Fantastic. They managed to generate millions of dollars from investors. Millions. They were overwhelmed by it. Exactly. But tons of people came in, and then they didn't deliver. What happened? They just started to have their head bigger than it actually was. They delivered a few helmets, but they couldn't follow with the production. They couldn't follow with with all of the parts. So they needed a lot of partners to get the parts, and they weren't really clear on how they were going to do this. And they ended up running out with the money, and that was it. So there's a lot of people that ended up being left having paid $1,500 for a helmet that never got the helmet.
And the problem was the chat.
The problem was not HR. The problem was a lack of ability to transition to another level of leadership. As you started, I was talking about the need for startups to reinvent themselves with their leadership styles and their way to apply it. Each of these transitions are critical. And generally, startups that are stagnating are the ones that don't. Means that they are at the transition point, they don't make it. So you very often see startups, suddenly they reach a plateau and they start to have problems. And it can happen at any stage. It don't matter which transition there is. The first transition is get your first client, that's a transition. Get your first employee, that's another transition. Get your workspace, that's another transition. Each of these little things are transitions. And they can appear like seemingly, it can appear that it's just natural, it happens. But each of these are little transitions. And the bigger you become, the more complex you become, the more the transition are going to be complex and are going to be demanding on energy and on agility and on ability to consider having to reinvent self. Yeah, any questions? Then thank you very much. I guess there's an aperitif and something.
Actually, because we were discussing this motivation in terms of data, and they have been doing recently a lot of research actually connected with direct and indirect motivation factors. And it's not always, and very often actually it is not impacting in a good sense or in a good sense performance. Just because normally people are much more motivated with direct materials such as purpose and their impact and what is the value, exactly like what you were mentioning. So what is actually my help that I'm bringing to the company, rather than, okay, after I do this job, I will just receive the money. So these kind of motivators are considered to be much smaller in terms of their impact on the total performance.
So this is a little bit where I was trying to go when I talked about making the offer. So yeah, of course, there's a salary, etc. But I talked about all the other perks that you need to be clear on. Because ultimately, and this comes back to the question from Sasha earlier, how can I convince somebody that comes from a big corporation and makes so much money to come and work for me? Well, you can't convince them. It's just like if they have values and if they have things that are in line with what you do, and the likelihood of generating the attractivity or the attraction to them is much higher. But you cannot push somebody to join you, and I would certainly never recommend to align to push the salary and this to double the salary to no. That's always going to bite you at some point. It's never the, because if this is the driver, within a year or two they're gone.
Salary is motivators for short time, but it is a team. So it's not required for the team to get one that has a more improvements, not in performance, otherwise one company more and those companies with such motivating things on service and personal growth.
If people come and ask for more money, it means that you failed in other areas.
This is a personal question. I think being interviewed for class how to negotiate the salary anyway. Because you just talked about quickly you start off. Because there are many theories how to negotiate the best. Because everybody has to win. To be a winning again. You cannot come and be best negotiate forever. You get what you want, but then you're going to be the guy that really asked for a lot and got it. But so what's the
so I'm not going to share a negotiation technique. I'm just going to talk about a principle. You need to know for yourself what you're worth and what you're ready to go for. Yes or no. If you enter the boundaries, fine. If no, you're going to be responsible. It's as simple as that. So if you end up with a situation where it doesn't get there, and that is your salary, but it can also be in terms of flexibility, it can be in terms of working hours, it can be in terms of travel, whatever element is not in line with what it is you are willing to adhere to. It's likely that it's not going to work. Because this is typically the kind of profile that said, yeah, but I mean, if I need to sacrifice some of my time, which I would have otherwise dedicated to the gym, my family, whatever, it's irrelevant to the as an employer for yourself. This is when you're going to start looking for, yeah, but I don't make enough of this. And money is going to become a short-term motivator just to help you compensate for this one thing you let go of. And so for me, there's no negotiation per se. It's always an open dialogue, making sure you find yourself within the boundaries you're willing to go. And I urge everyone to think about that before you go into a job interview or before you receive an offer. If you are in this fortunate situation, is what it is you want. And is that offer going to help you achieve what you want? I know it sounds easy to say, and that sometimes there are realities of life, right? So there's pressure, we need to pay rent, we need to fill our fridge in the evening. So there are realities, so it's not as straightforward. I realize that necessarily. However, it's a good starting point. Anything else? Then thank you.
All right. So as Sebastien has mentioned, we invite you for a small apero, which is just behind you. So don't leave. No, it's also a chance for you to communicate with each other, to meet with different people, and to maybe to ask more questions to Sebastien and to Carla. All right, thank you.